left for the Army, as I said on one of the other videos. Rode that doodlebug up to SMOKY Air Force Base at Salina, Kansas. And I think I was just there a day before you raise your arm and swear you're sworn in. Well, then I realized a little bit about the Army very quickly, because now they aren't going to send you on up to Fort Leavenworth to be put into uniforms, given tests, and so on for a few days. And boy, the first thing you find out is they look for something to keep you busy. I mowed lawns. I picked up trash. And I became aware right away that some of the guys that were smarter than me had little ways of avoiding those details and just kind of stayed out of the way, and nobody seemed to care at all. Well, I don't remember how many days, but it wasn't many. And they had a little group of us to send us on up to Fort Leavenworth. Well, at Fort Leavenworth, lots of go into this line for boots, go into that line for shirts, go into that line, you know, line, get you uniformed, get you all decked out, private rigs. Well, then they had those tests they gave us, and it just was a little of this and that, and then once again it became very obvious that in between they tried to find things to keep you busy and keep you out of trouble, but you begin to look around and see that a lot of fellows had a way of just kind of laying back and not ending up on a detail, and they just kind of lay low, and nobody cared. Not a good thing for a young soldier to observe, particularly one that was the kind of student that had learned to sneak a book behind the text notebook and read your storybooks during the instructional period and think you're getting away with something, when the truth of the matter is the professor probably knew, that teacher probably knew, was just glad you were staying quiet and staying out of trouble. So I developed a little strategy or two so that I didn't pull nearly as many details as I had been, and I'd just find a quiet place and wait and watch, and when they called the next formation, I braced up and right in line. No problem at all, nobody fussed, nobody was unhappy. And boy, one of the things I remember about that stop at Fort Leavenworth is that our barracks, where we slept, were way off. They marched you to and from. You marched right under the wall of the Leavenworth prison, the infamous Leavenworth prison, and into what they called the swamp. I think it was an older section that they had to reactivate now that they were continuing the war, continuing to draft people. Well, I wasn't drafted, but anyway, continue to process soldiers. Well, when they marched you by in the evening, in the daylight, that place was imposing. But there was something much more imposing about it in the early morning. Not daylight yet. Dawn's coming. The wall, oh, did that wall seem imposing to this young soldier as you marched by. I had no desire to be any closer to that prison than the route they chose to march us on as we came and went.